Wow. We've gotten to chapter 4 of the part 1 of the Fix INEC Fix Nigerian report. You've done a very great work. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. And I believe that so far you've learned one or two things. And I've been able to make an effective case for why we need to fix Nigeria. The role of leadership and also the role of INEC. The leadership crisis that have given birth to the state of where Nigeria is right now. And the role of INEC and how broken, and the fact that INEC is broken, and this has led to the emergence of incompetent leaders. Right now, we're going to be exploring the consequences of electoral failures. What's the consequence? When INEC fails to deliver, what happens? When INEC fails to deliver, what happens? So INEC fails to deliver on their mandate. It has a tremendous effect. The first consequence of INEC's inability is one, that when INEC fails, it has led to the emergence of incompetent and effective leaders. There's been an empirical evidence that linked the emergence of inexperienced leaders to weak and failed electoral process, because corrupt leaders are able to manipulate the electoral process for personal gains. So what happens is that you have incompetent leaders who know they can manipulate the system, and they use the system, and they use the power and wealth they've accumulated in the system to further manipulate the system. And so what does that happen? You see, INEC is now being manipulated by these actors, these incompetent leaders, and what does that lead to? The quality of governance deteriorates. So there's a consequence, a significant reduction in the quality of leadership that Nigerians experience. And this is a chart from citizens that have, from my research, sort of like makes that case. The second consequence of weak electoral system or processes is that it leads to an emergence of leaders without legitimacy and accountability to the populace. When an election is supposed to be a system that gives a leader, transfers power to a leader to act on behalf of the people. But when you have a system where the system is flawed, what now happens is that the leader lacks legitimacy. And then the citizens are able to hold that leader that emerges accountable. So the quality of governance that leader is able to deliver to citizens is absolutely limited and disrupted. Manipulation of elections has led to leadership crisis. Enabled individuals who are more interested in personal gain to rise. It has enabled the emergence of leaders without legitimacy and accountability to the populace, to the people. Flawed elections have consequences. Flawed elections has also led to social unrest and increased corruption as byproducts. When the system that screens you can be corrupted, it means you can go on and do whatever you want to do in your government. Nothing will happen. You can steal, you can lie, you can cheat, because there's no system to hold you accountable. The citizens are unable to hold you accountable, because tomorrow, leveraging the state coffers, leveraging the state resources, you can go, rig your way back in, and control the resources of the Commonwealth as your own without any repercussions, because the institution that is supposed to prevent you from manipulating that process is weak and unable to do its job effectively. So it leads to social unrest. People are angry. Violence, protests. It also empowers incompetent leaders to operate without consequences. Because you don't need the people. You don't need the people. You can decide to enrich yourself, your family, your loved ones at the expense of the people, and still come back and continue to rule and get your brother, your sister to take over, or your stooges, or your godchildren, or your political children, or whatever it is, to take over from you and continue from there, because there's no system to hold you accountable. You can operate without any consequences. So you have incompetent leaders who do not have the requisite qualifications, competencies. They can emerge, rule, without anything to worry about. You now have leaders who emerge that think that they can abuse human rights, trample on the judiciary, trample on the media, citizens' rights. Because who are you? You can't hold me accountable during elections. I own the system. Corruption and resource misallocation is on the rise because, like I said, who are you? Because you can't hold me accountable. I know how to influence INEC. So there's a significant consequence of INEC being unable to, year after year, organize elections that Nigerians are happy with. There's also an increased disillusionment. Citizens, they give up. Because when you consistently come out under the sun to vote, to engage in the process, to fight for the kind of leaders that you want, and all of that, at the end of the day, same story. What happens? You tune out. You become disillusioned. You give up. You're discouraged from participating. That's a significant byproduct. So, in chapter 4, I've been able to make a case for why we need to reform INEC, because there are consequences. There are consequences that affect the quality of governance that we are able to experience as citizens. There's a connection between INEC and our national progress. So now we know that connection. In chapter 5, I'm going to make a case, a much stronger case, for why reforming INEC is a necessity for national progress. Now come, we have to reform it. We can't wait. We have to do it now.